What is going on, everybody? Okay, I have no idea if we have any kind of sound whatsoever, but on the off chance that we do, that would be a good thing. Testing, testing sound. Are we live? We're good. We got sound back. Let me know, guys. We got our sound back. You do now. All right. Finally, we figured it out. My wife was saying I need to invest in some sign language classes because I was like, I have no idea what the hell is happening or going on. This is why I'm not even joking. Like, I'm really bad with these kinds of like audio synchronization issues. Sometimes a program acts up, whatever. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back tonight. I want to thank you guys for watching another live stream. I want to give a shout out to Jaheim Freeman. You are the first member of the Pumpkin Gang this October. Shout out, brother. Thanks for joining and becoming a member, and also being here for 6 months. And to anyone who donates tonight, you guys will be joining the illustrious Pumpkin Gang tonight. So I appreciate every one of you guys who stops by tonight and just says hello. Okay, so now, thank you everyone for bearing with the audio issues. But now we're going to talk about the big elephant right in the room. Okay, so 8K. We hear that it's getting canceled and things of that nature. I was pretty much asked to give my take on it. Like, how do I feel about it? What is it going to mean for us in the future? That kind of thing. Kind of weighing in more or less. So essentially it's kind of like this. So I think they have a point, right? Obviously energy conservation is a big issue. People are very concerned about it. Is it necessary to target TVs? I doubt that. I think maybe like you should start with like household lamps, appliances. I think that should be more realistic. I think my refrigerator, for example, would draw way more than a TV ever would. So this attacking a television doesn't really make so much sense, so much as like maybe a regular appliance. Like, you really wouldn't care about the wattage from your refrigerator, or maybe the screen on like your touch screen refrigerator being dimmer. That wouldn't bother people so much as a television. Now, I did happen to see what Digital Trends had to say about this particular topic. And I think what I found most interesting is, like, for the most part, by the way, it was one of the rarest moments ever. I pretty much from start to finish agreed with the entire video, which is extraordinarily rare. But the thing for me, though, it's just kind of like, you know, when he was touching on the dim nature and like how like to basically align with what the EU would require, basically everyone's TV would be super dim. And my thing was kind of like, but you guys kind of already do that as purists with calibrations. Like, they're always dim. Like, you calibrate to 100 nits, that's the standard, right? And then from there, people pretty much think their TV is broken. Which is why 9 times out of 10, when you find one of these more calibrated modes, they're dimmer and things like that. If you go on rtings.com, plug in their settings, it's dimmer than what you're accustomed to, because that's just how it is. So I don't necessarily know if like that kind of makes sense, because there are a demographic of users that are already used to really dim, dark pictures. So that part I didn't really care too much for, but everything else was pretty much on point. And I think like it's particularly what it means for the rest of the world in terms of like companies follow suit. Let's just call it what it is. Now you don't even just look at like technology, right? Television technology. You can look at something like, I don't know, the real estate market or whatever. Like, comparables are always used in every aspect. If your friend is doing better in life than you, you're probably going to try to match them. Same way like brothers and sisters and siblings compete. It's always like a competition. Everybody likes to keep up kind of thing. And I think that aspect is not going to change. So if the EU decides they're going to take a bold stance and they're going to make products a certain way, and they're going to decide, you know what, we're just not going to allow products at a certain, you know, wattage or whatever, then yeah, I can totally see the environmentalists in the States deciding, hey, you know what, we're green too, we want to do the same thing. Especially, I mean, you guys, I'm not going to get into politics about, you know, any kind of green deals or anything like that. All I'm saying is that I can totally see it going down that route of like, hey, we agree too. And it's not a hard thing to kind of put together, like, you know, world governments kind of seeing eye to eye on certain topics. So that's where we'll leave that. But what I can say is this. When it comes to the importance of like 8K getting canceled, I don't think it's so much like 8K. I think it's, again, just high drawing electronics being canceled, right? Now, if we're just talking like candidly, I really couldn't care less about 8K. I've been saying it from day one, it's stupid. Anyone who buys 8K is buying a pipe dream. We can't even get 4K 60 to run on everything as a standard yet. And HDR is still broken. And speaking of HDR, this is where the problem comes in. Because HDR is where you're going to need that extra brightness, especially because, you know, they're trying to make the picture dim, right? And they do that so that they can give themselves the headroom to make things brighter where they need to be and things like that. But you really end up with a lot of inconsistencies, because even at, like, let's say your wildest 2000 nit HDR television, it still needs more brightness in certain scenes, especially with Dolby Vision. Like, I've seen so many examples where even though something was rated at a certain level of brightness, it still needed more to make Dolby Vision shine. And that's why they were saying, like, Dolby Vision is supposed to ideally get up to 10,000 nits even. And the idea now that that could maybe be tampered with, I mean, I honestly, genuinely do not care, because I've said it from day one. I've been testing it for many, many years, pretty much since the inception of this channel. And it is just simply put, SDR is better than HDR if you know how to use it. And I think instead of focusing on HDR, right, I think if we like get serious as an AV community, so to speak, and we say, you know what, we want SDR to look the best it's going to look, period. Because let me tell you something. I've said this before in the past, but here's a little rehash of information. All SDR comes from HDR footage. I know this might sound crazy at first, but everything is shot in a logarithmic format. And from log, it is graded in post-production, and then from post-production brought to your television. So this concept that we're missing out on something, or we're going to get screwed over because the EU, terrible EU, I mean, we already have HDR now, so we don't really need to be bent out of shape that HDR isn't going to be there, because like we already have that being brought and transposed over for SDR screens. And you still have the dynamic range advantages. If you've ever shot film on a Sony camera, play around with the HLG formats, play around with S-Log, go watch videos about S-Log conversions and things like that. I'm telling you, it's a very realistic thing, and that's all that this really is about. Now, in terms of, again, how people perceive that, that's entirely up to them, but I tell you, I think there is a better conversation to be had about making the current SDR look a whole lot better than what we have right now today. And pulling away from HDR and pulling away from, you know, resource guzzling things. So, I mean, from an environmental perspective, I think it's a positive thing that they're trying to be conscious, but I find it disingenuous when your big move is like TVs. It's like, no, like refrigerators and dishwashers, those are like pretty energy heavy, especially refrigerators. So they should work on that first, but what do I know? So I'm going to jump in the chat here and I'm going to see what you guys think, and we're just going to go from there. So I'm going to try to skip the part where all my audio was messed up, and we're going to say, what's going on, Handy Cart? What's going on? Thanks for coming out tonight, brother. Julian, I want to thank you for being a member for over 24 months, man. That's good stuff, brother. You say, hey, Q, 77-inch C2, A80K, bright room, or something else. Honestly, man, if you're going for a 77-inch, your only real bet is probably like the C2 or a C1 right now. So that would probably be what I would say. You could probably try to wait until 2023 to see if one of the larger size, quantum dot OLEDs are going to be made and manufactured. I mean, there's a lot of buzz around that. But then, of course, you better hope that you beat, you know, everybody agreeing and getting on the same page and deciding, you know, we're going to make it a low wattage thing. But, like, now, I kind of want to touch on that, too, like, because Digital Trends kind of made a point that I agree with, like, what they could do as an alternative is come out with, like, a, you know, ultra, you know, eco-saving mode, or, like, eco-saving mode plus premium, or whatever they want to call it, Pro, Extreme, Mega Max, they all have these crazy names, right? But my thing is like, I feel like since eco mode is already super dim anyway, like to make it even dimmer to match like a power draw requirement, I don't really think that that's going to work, because I feel like they're going to know that people are trying to be slick like that and just make those TVs out of the box to be at a certain power draw, and then still draw the same amount of energy they didn't want them to draw regardless. So I feel like it's like more of a regulatory thing, like you just straight up can't do this. So I don't know. I don't live in the EU, right? So I don't know what their law is on that or what it will eventually pertain to or end up being. What I can say is, like, honestly speaking, though, I just don't see it playing out in any favor for any consumer if it does go mainstream and crazy viral in all the countries do it. What I can say, though, is as far as, like, a 77-inch, I mean, like, really, C2, C1, I'm leaning more towards C1 because a C2, when you get to, you know, rapid geometry, like ribbons twirling, particle effects going all off and crazy, you're going to have some issues where you see motion processing fall apart, and if you don't use motion processing at all, you're going to see some motion jitters and motion stutters, more than what you would see on last year's model. That's kind of, unfortunately, been the reoccurring theme across the board as we look at pretty much everything. I mean, like, QLED, OLED, doesn't matter. They all are doing that, and it's so hard to, like, you know, do this kind of show and kind of talk to you guys and have a candid forum, because it's like when we do this constantly for, like, years and years or wherever, it gets to a point where, like, a lot of it I already remember, but some of it you have to rehash because it kind of becomes forgotten knowledge. And, like, the biggest thing I have to stress to you guys is, like, through the years, this kind of thing kind of gets lost, where it's like, the picture quality is not always going to be better because you bought the newer model. Like, you have to keep that in the back of your mind. And it's not like a cop-out or anything. It's just like times change. And what do we see? We see everything's getting more expensive, and companies are trying to cut those costs for themselves. And, of course, somewhere in the production line, they have to give, right? They can't just constantly give you the highest quality all the time and save money for themselves. So who's going to win? Of course, they want to pocket that money. And we've sent a very nasty message, right? Where you can give me the low quality goods made of cheap, chalky plastic. You can give me bare minimum. You can give me washed out colors. You can give me whatever you want. I'll be grateful because you slapped your name on it. And that's been the status quo. I'm not going to try to change your mind on that. If you believe in that, that's your business. But what I will say is, if we want better, we are going to start sounding off more about issues like motion processing, things like that. Now, again, this isn't pertaining to you particularly. It's just like a general like address, if you will, or conversational piece. But at the end of the day, that is what I would say there. But definitely lean more towards C1 or C2. So we've got Darian. What's going on? I think I said that. Darren. I always butcher names, so please don't hate me. That's a really easy name, and I don't know why I got that one wrong. But what's going on? You said pink noise. So it's probably like sounding like fuzzy and stuff in the background audio. So tell me, if it gets a little bit better here, maybe, I don't know. Tell me if the audio is better right about now. I've had all kinds of audio issues even before the stream started, so we were late starting, and now we probably have some white noise even in the background. But if this evened out things and made it a little bit more digestible, let me know. All right, so we've got Frank. What's going on? You said it started when they took 3D away. They hit people where they knew it would piss off enthusiasts. Yeah, I mean, like, for me it sucks because like 3D was like the really like viable technology in my opinion, especially passive 3D on OLED. Like, what if we had passive quantum dot OLED Pro? I would run out to buy that, right? Like, all I gotta do is put on passive 3D glasses. It's like come on, no batteries, nothing. Like, that was a technology worth pursuing, and the fact that they won't do it now and they're pushing gimmicky stuff like high dynamic range. It's like, dude, like, stop. You're already shooting high dynamic range, and it's so hard for me being somebody who dabbles in film, in color. What is it? Color theory and like all this shit, dude. Like, long day, not feeling so well. Don't hate me for this. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's like you sit here and you go through all these like motions and you know a lot about these theories and these procedures and these businesses and the industry and all that nonsense, right? And you see, like, we're already shooting in HDR, and then they look at you and they go, we're going to now sell you HDR. Like, the average consumer was like, oh, yeah, that's great. But, like, I'm sitting here like, that's not really the best thing in the world because, like, we are already there. So, is the audio too low, or how are we looking? It's too much noise in the background. We still have noise. Let's see. I mean, I don't know if I can fix that. We're just gonna have to go back up to where it's crappy and like you hear a bunch of noise. I honestly don't know. I'm gonna have to figure it out and work with his growing pains. It looks good on the screen there, so hopefully we don't have too many cracklings. If you guys can hear it, let me know. If it's too low, I'll adjust it as well. So yes, definitely keep Go S95B. KS8000 cannot compete with the S95B on any level period. Like, trust me on that. Like, dude, I'm watching the S95B, and like I said to my wife the other day, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, yo, like I want to get a better TV for like the entire house. And it's so bad, dude. Because like I have great TVs. I've got the AHE and you know the UHEs you guys know, and I'm just looking at these TVs like, you're not good enough. I want an S95B in every room. and it's so hard because it's like my wife looks at me, she's like, you don't need that. And it's like, not need, you want. And I turn into like, I don't know, like for my younger generation, okay, like don't hate me, okay. I turn into like SpongeBob where it's like, I don't need it. You've never seen that clip. And it's like, I really do though, I want it. It's like one of those things that'll make everything more enjoyable. So, we've got, Damien, what's going on? You said, is there much of a discernible difference between 4K and 8K to the eye? I mean, honestly speaking, I haven't really given 8K a chance, and there's no real 8K content to test anyway. So I'd say no, right now just do 4K, and it's the more noticeable, more like readily available thing anyway. we've got, I don't know how to say that. Assad, what's going on, man? You said, is 8K gaming worth it? No. I highly doubt you have any frame rates worth anything at 8K gaming, and if you do, you're using all kinds of like reconstruction technologies that are not native resolutions. It's not worth your time. Just like, I mean, honestly, I still game at 1440p on my PC. 1440 Ultra on everything. And it's amazing because then what I love to do, because I have a 3080 Ti and an S95B, I push more aggressive color, right? So I push it to 12-bit color. I push it to chroma sampling 444. I'm gaming like nobody. I'm having so much fun. You wouldn't even believe. Like, oh, like it's a dream, right? Then I feel like when you have that as a case, you don't need to go to 8K or you don't need 4K. Hell, you can use 1440p and then upscale if you really wanted to 4K. You know, and you don't have to even tax your hardware that much. So it really does depend on you as a gamer what you're looking for. Especially if you're looking for 8K gaming, that's already artificial as hell in today's timeline. So I wouldn't even worry about it, man. What? Oh, what did I do to adjust it? More? Like, what? Is there still audio issues? I have no idea. I don't know what I can do. I just raised the volume. So I don't know. I need noise canceling headphones. Well, yeah, there's a lot of static. The static is, it's not really static that you guys are hearing. You're hearing the fan from my light. Normally you can't hear it, but like for whatever reason, it's like super picking up everything. So I've got to find a way to like cancel off the signal coming from one direction and the other. I don't know, what is this set to? It's already set to like just me, so I can't even do anything about that. I have no idea. I'm going to have to work out audio. I've never been great at this kind of stuff, guys, so please bear with me. I'll try to, I don't know. What can we do? Can we move this thing closer, right? Can we try that? That's going to make it a little bit louder. I don't know. Did that help a little bit? It's not right up on it. I don't know. I don't want to change the lighting because that'll make the stream look a little shittier and all that. But yeah, but you know, it is what it is. I don't know. Better volume, better now. All right, cool. I'm doing my best here, so I apologize for all that. I'm looking, making sure all the levels are good. I'm like all over the place. Okay. Cannon, what's going on, brother? You said, hey, Q, hope all is well. Hey, static is insane on the stream. Yeah, I know. I kind of feel bad about that, because at first I didn't have any audio, and now I've got a bunch of static. It's like, again, like really, I didn't even really do live streams because of this reason. Before I would only do it on PlayStation because like all that stuff was already synced up. And this is like way harder for me because it's like I'm a one-man crew trying to talk to you guys, fix the levels. I don't know, over my head, you know. So it's a growing process. So I appreciate it. The volume's better now and things are good, then that works for me. We've got thoughts on the LG B2. I think the LG B2 is a good budget OLED. I don't think obviously it's gonna surpass the C2, but I think it'll be more than similar enough, especially since I've seen things like the B1 and things like that. And coming from that perspective, they're going to be very similar this year. I mean, there's a trend in the market right now where it's like, okay, so if I've come out with a solid model last year, all I'm going to do is copy that model and put it on a new model. Like, that's all that it really usually ever is. So 9 times out of 10, you're usually better hunting for last year's model. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes they do make improvements, but that's what my channel's for, right? Like, I tell you when they make those improvements and when they don't. Unfortunately, people don't like the answers sometimes, but we're not here to talk about that. But what I can say is, yeah, it's a pain to take a lot of time to learn everything you need. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's one of those things, it's like, it's an occupational hazard. Sometimes you got to get up here and you got to bomb it a little bit, you know? It's a learning process. But see, that's what I say, like, on this channel, like, I'm all about learning and continuing to grow. So if some of you guys out there really know OBS, you know audio, you're really good at it, and you have a way of cleaning up audio channels, let me know, man. I'm totally open to learning because I'm still, as you see, I'm still learning how to piece it all together, if you will. So, yeah, I appreciate all this stuff, guys, that you guys have. But yeah, that's more or less what we've got here. The first Sony 4K TV I had was passive 3D. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about a lot of these Sonys. They're all pretty amazing. What are your thoughts on the $1,600 Apple monitor? Last question of the night. I think it's overpriced, and I don't really like Apple at all. I never touch any of their products. I don't do Apple. I mean, i4 14 alone should show you kind of everything their direction is nowadays. It's like really like copy and paste consumer, and that kind of speaks to what I was saying earlier. With, again, the TV world doing the same thing. I swear to God, dude, companies really know that they've got you. They know you like Apple. They know you like Sony. They know you like Samsung. And what are they going to do? They're going to say, okay, well, let's see what we can get away with. First, we'll take a charger out. Then we'll remove a headphone jack. Whoa, we're still selling units like crazy. So wait a minute. We don't have to pay for these extra parts, and we still get to charge more or the same. Guess what we're going to do? And the same concept holds across every single industry. Check it out if you don't believe me. But that's the time I have for tonight. I really hope you guys come by tomorrow, 7 p.m. through 8 p.m., usually Eastern Standard Time. I don't really stay through 8 p.m. anymore. But at the same time, I do want to appreciate you guys for coming out tonight. I'm going to try to figure out audio stuff. If any of you audio whizzes out there can kind of get with me, and so we can clean up the stream so it's not as unbearable next time, I would really appreciate that. And also, I want to thank you guys for showing all the support on the videos that you guys have been watching and stuff like that. You guys are awesome. And shout out to all of our new members and to our member of the Pumpkin Gang. Shout out to Jaheim Freeman, our new member here. Welcome to the VIP community, brother. Alright guys, I'm going to go. I've actually been doing this whole live stream feeling like absolute dog shit. And so I'm going to go lay down and take medicine because, you know, I'm not feeling so well. So that being said though, again, you guys have a safe and blessed night. And until the next live stream, I will see you guys later.